Welcome to the Good Life, Great Careers podcast. My name is Caitlin Betts, and I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition for the state of Nebraska. I am joined today by my co-host, Brian Civic, the Director of Workforce Training and Development for the state of Nebraska. If this is your first time tuning in, through this podcast, we share about the great careers in Nebraska state government and why this is a great place to start or grow your career in just about every career field you can imagine. Each episode features a different state teammate as our guest to tell us about their career journey and why they chose a career in public service. If you're looking for a meaningful career, we likely have something for you. In fact, Nebraska state government is one of the largest and most diverse employers in the state when it comes to career opportunities. Our open career opportunities are all posted at statejobs.nebraska.gov. Stay tuned till the end and we'll give you some specifics on how to find those and apply for those opportunities. Today we have a special guest who has a unique story with the state of Nebraska. I'm excited to introduce Michael Broderick, an HR intern with the Department of Administrative Services. Michael is with us through the Department of Defense SkillBridge program. Several state agencies, including Administrative Services, have partnered with the SkillBridge program, which provides an opportunity for service members to gain valuable civilian work experience through internships during their last 180 days of service. Michael is currently preparing to transition out of active duty military status with the U.S. Air Force after 20 years of service. Michael, welcome. First of all, thank you for your service and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to learn more about you and your experience with the state of Nebraska. We thought we'd start by just getting to know you a bit better. So if you would like to share a little bit about yourself with us.
Absolutely. Thank you first and foremost for having me. It's an honor to come into this environment and represent the SkillBridge program, represent the section that I'm assigned to. So how I got here, moved to Nebraska when I was relatively young. I ended up going to high school here. I graduated from Lincoln Southeast. Then I joined the military in 2002. My first duty assignment was in Germany at Ramstein. I went from there kind of back and forth between the states, back overseas. I spent the large majority of my career overseas, about 15 years in total. So I've been everywhere, seen everything, been to 4 different continents, had just a large breadth of its experience. And so at the end of that 20 years, during the 20-year process, I had mentors throughout that time. And, the majority of them are saying, do your 20 years and get out because your marketability on the outside world. And as a young airman coming up, it seemed like it would be forever until that time came. And I blinked. And when I blinked, that 20 years came. And so my wife and myself and my sons, we were overseas. We were in Sicily, stationed at Sigonella Naval Air Station. And we ultimately made that decision to retire. And where was the next question? Where are we going to go? We were floating Florida. We were floating Arizona. For the last 10 years, we were certain it was not going to be Nebraska. But things just kind of fell into place. Everything lined up. And one thing after another, we knew we had a stable environment to come home to. We knew we had family in Nebraska. My wife is from Nebraska, too. That's how we met. So we knew coming into this environment, it was a good place for our kids, right? Our kids had spent their entire lives overseas, minus 1 year when I went to Turkey. And so it was the right thing to do at the time. Now, the scary part of retiring from the military is you don't know what you're going to do for a job. Are you going to be able to provide for your family? What is that going to look like? And that's when I found the SkillBridge program. So the way the DoD SkillBridge program works is, like Caitlin, you were saying, 180 days prior to your retirement or your separation date, you're eligible to enter that window. So I navigated some of those companies, and one of them was Lockheed, one was Boeing. There was a few other, there was Cohorts. Hiring Our Heroes is another great entity that kind of helps transitioning service members. But to me, they didn't feel personal. And so I was treated more like a number rather than Michael Broderick, right? Retiring, transitioning military member. And then I found the state of Nebraska. And so I reached out, and at the time it was Serenity who was the point of contact, and then it's since transitioned over to Mandy. And so immediately I got a response within 2 days. Hey, Michael, thank you for contacting us. Please let us know, what are you interested in doing? What do you need from us? And that was the first time, I think it was 5 or 6 companies that I had contacted that asked me, what do I need? And through those conversations, I love people. I like to mentor, I like to mold, I like to lead, and I want to be face-to-face in front of people. And they thought recruitment in HR would be the best place for me. And from the moment I walked in the door, it was just fantastic. Kevin Halverson, Kevin Workman, Nicole Nath, Mandy Clark, the whole team was just incredible. Carrie Wenzel. They took me in at the time. Randy Thorpe, he was another SkillBridge intern with us. He was getting ready to leave. He since left last month. But they treated me as if I had been here for years. There was no, hey, he's the new guy, or hey, he's the traditional military guy that doesn't know anything coming in here. And that's kind of what I expected. The military is a very alpha-dominated environment, right? And so when you're the new guy, you know it. And I didn't get that here. And I was kind of blown away, and I was just walking on a cloud the whole time. And every week I would have a meeting with somebody in a leadership position saying, hey, what do you think so far? And you could see in their eyes, they're almost bracing for impact. Like, what is he going to tell me? Oh, no. And I'm just like, I have nothing bad to say. And it was every week, it was the same thing. And I told Kevin Workman one week, I said, I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but I'm just having the time of my life.
That's awesome.
You're treating me as if I'd been here forever. Now, I think I might have picked up things fast due to the nature of how we train and how fast we need to learn things and kind of move on. But ever since I walked in the door, it's just been fantastic.
So when you were in the Air Force, what was your role primarily?
Sorry, I did not cover that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
So my role in the Air Force, I'm a law enforcement security expert.
Okay.
So in the Air Force, that career field is called security forces. So I've done everything from pulling people over on traffic stops, from military to civilian people, doing physical security, hardening facilities. I've deployed 5 times actually. So that's kind of the background I'm coming from. And when I tie that into HR, it's like, what is this guy doing? He's a cop. Why is he going into HR? But believe it or not, the same conversations that happen in HR happen in law enforcement, or happen as a senior NCO, which is the rank I was, a Master Sergeant E7 in the Air Force. Those conversations you're having with airmen, like, hey, you're not cutting it, and this is why. Mm-hmm. You know, those are some of the same blunt conversations you're having behind closed doors with teammates within the state. Like, hey, you didn't meet your SMART goals. You know, these are the repercussions if you don't meet your SMART goals. Or, hey, you met your SMART goals, you exceeded them, this is what we want to do with you next. Yeah. And so that's what I've enjoyed the most about HR. Now, I wish I had more time. I wish I could expand out and go into different like sections within HR, get out of recruiting, go into maybe payroll. But I don't. I ran out of time. And that's one of the saddest things about this whole endeavor. It's over in 2 weeks. And it came so fast. And I talk to everybody every week, and I'm just like, I'm not ready to go.
So tell us a little bit more about kind of your responsibilities and your internship. What are you doing? You mentioned recruitment.
Mm-hmm. I staff the requisitions. I liaise between the hiring manager. They kind of tell me, this is what we need. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're willing to offer. This is the job description. These are the KSAs. And then I work with the hiring manager to get that job ad posted. Once that ad is posted and closes out, we get the pool of eligible candidates, kind of give it to the hiring manager, say, hey, this is who you got. Let us know who you would like to interview. From that point, the hiring manager, we give them a time frame. Hey, by this date, we need to know those names. They send that to us. We contact the candidates, and we schedule those interviews. Sometimes we're in the interviews if we're requested by the hiring manager. And then from that point, when the hiring manager makes their decision, we're contacting those candidates. We're making the verbal offer, and then we extend the written offer, the more formal offer. And then you're kind of just helping the candidate onboard. So we're working with the W-4s, we're doing the I-9s, making sure the background checks are done, and just kind of easing that transition, getting them their badges on their first day, sending them through orientation, and just kind of getting them set up for success. And I think the team is fantastic at doing that.
So, and you've alluded to this a little bit, but if you could maybe explore it a little bit more, but talk about how your current internship has helped bridge that gap, combined with your military service experience as well, to prepare you for whatever's next in your journey.
Right. So just as there are biases from the civilian world towards the military, after 20 years, there's military towards the civilian world. It's scary. And you hear all these stories throughout your career. You know, once you get out, nobody's going to care about you. Nobody's going to help you. If you're late to work one day, they're going to fire you. And I think I had those same biases coming in. But the moment I walked through the door, and they're just like, "Hey, Mike, how are you?" I was like, "Just call me Mike." The first time in 20 years, somebody called me Mike. And I'm in the Air Force. We don't even call each other Mike. That must be a Navy thing, so you can tell Director Jackson that. But no, so I think all of those biases and all those perceptions that I had and what I thought the civilian world was going to be, it really just wasn't. And so I think the biggest takeaway that I would give to anybody that's going to transition out, is to let them know that just take it one step at a time, right? Everything is perspective, right? It's not the gospel. It's not the law. So yes, the civilian world is drastically different than the military world, but there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of the same conversations that are happening. There's people that care about you just as much on the outside as on the inside.
You mentioned the biases a little bit just with the civilian world. How about coming into state government? What has surprised you the most or been the most unexpected?
I would say the dedication and the level of service that I've seen the teammates within the state provide to the rest of the state organizations. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that level of professionalism. And again, that's the bias of coming into this world. I was expecting people that were working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, punching in, punching out, and that was it. But that's not the case. The level of service is the same, if not higher, than what I was expecting.
Well, circling back a little bit to your talk about recruiting and your involvement with that for the state of Nebraska, during that, how have you sold the state of Nebraska as a great place to work, as an employer of choice? Or what advice would you give to someone considering a career with the state or an internship with the state?
So I would approach that the same way I would approach a conversation with somebody wanting to join the military. The ones that come into the state with the mindset of I want to serve my state, I think they do very well. I think they do very well here. And the benefit packages, right? I think a lot of people lose focus on what benefits the state offers you. I think we do a great job of selling the benefit package, but you can't make people read it, right? You can't make people understand that package. So
what's next for you as far as your I know you said your internship's coming to an end in a few weeks here, but what anything on the horizon?
It makes me super sad. So I accepted a position with the Public Defender's Office as a criminal investigator. So my last day is January 2nd. January 3rd, I'll start with them. Even though January 2nd is a holiday, which I did not know months ago when I applied for this, but it worked out pretty well. So I'm looking forward to going back to my roots, right? Sitting in front of people, conducting investigations, going out to crime scenes, doing that. I wanted to carry that on with the state, but the opportunity at the county level presented itself, and it's just something that I couldn't pass up on. But, the theme that we've been talking about the whole time is service, right? And I'm going to continue to serve, and that's what I'm looking to do ultimately, is I want to continue to serve this great state, whether it's at the state, county, city, or local level. Yep. That's what was most important to me. And again, I'm not looking to be rich, right? But if I do get there someday, that'd be cool, right? But comfortable, and it gives us that goal of what we set out to when we transition out of the military. We want to be able to sustain the lifestyle we're accustomed to, and this position that I've accepted is going to put me right there, and my family right there, and I think that's the most important.
So would you say the SkillBridge internship experience, even though you're not going to continue on with the state, but you're always welcome to come back, right? So it's
absolutely,
an open door.
Absolutely.
Has it helped prepare you then for this next step?
It has. So I started September 2nd with the state on the SkillBridge program, and I was privy to some of the interview processes, right? And that's the scariest thing. That's something after 20 years of military service, they don't prepare you for a corporate interview, corporate resume writing. They give you a class that's a week long at the end of your 20-year career, 4-year career that's supposed to teach on how to do resume writing, but there's no validation, right? You don't know if what you wrote translates well in the corporate world. So I think the first piece of validation was coming into this world and sending an HR rep my resume and saying, hey, can you look this thing over before I start submitting it and start applying for positions? And the feedback I got was, hey, it's great. Fix this. This is kind of weird. Doesn't make sense. It's too military-ish, too much jargon. So that was the best part of it. And understanding that the interview process, you're kind of interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. And that's scary to somebody that hasn't done an interview in 2 decades, right? And so my first interview, I want to say it was October, the first week of October, and it was with the Public Defender Office. Okay. And the first interview I had had in over 20 years. And a week later, they called back and they said, hey, we'd like to offer you the position. So it was the validation, right? And it was the HR department in the state of Nebraska helping me with that transition, right? They're allowing me to give them my resume, to look at it. They're allowing me to sit in on interviews and listen to the questions that are being asked, right? And prepare you for what could be potentially asked of you. And again, that face-to-face, which is what I was craving the whole time. So that was nice to actually do that. So that was the biggest benefit of this.
All right. Appreciate all the insights you gave us and sharing your story with us. We always like to end these with a little bit of fun with some hot seat questions. Are you ready for these?
Let's do it. Nothing
super controversial. All right. But what's your favorite type of weather?
Fall.
So why fall? Is it?
It's just the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Right. When the leaves first change colors, right? I love that. I don't like the cold, but I also don't like the extreme hot. So I'm kind of fall guy.
Yeah. I'm fall and spring. Fall is probably my number one as well. Yeah. You got football as well. So, hey.
That's been a rough go the last decade. 2 decades.
That's true. We won't talk about that. Hopefully
you said not too controversial.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be turning around here soon. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your go-to snack?
I think my wife would kind of laugh at this. I would say cheese.
Really?
After being in Europe for so long.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Okay.
I'm a cheese snob now.
Particular type of cheese or just?
Just the stinkier, the better.
Okay.
So,
all right.
She calls it my stinky cheese.
What's the best book you've read?
I don't remember the title. Or actually, I would say On Combat. I forget the author. It's about how we train in the military.
Okay.
And kind of the historical progression of training.
Cool. What's your favorite day of the week?
Friday. Yeah, Friday afternoons, not Friday 8 a.m., but Friday like 5 p.m.
Yeah. Looking forward to the weekend. Just kind of time with the family.
You have that whole weekend in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? And so you don't know what's going to happen from Friday to Sunday. Sunday's the worst, but Friday's the best.
Yeah. What is the most valuable leadership advice you've been given?
How much time we got left for this one? That I've been given. I would say leadership. So I think something that's resonated with me throughout my entire career is people have enough friends. People don't have enough leaders. And that's a pretty broad statement, right? So it kind of goes into mentorship, leadership, in the work center, outside the work center, right? A shoulder to lean on. But they don't need you to be a friend. Right? If you look at, I use the analogy of Facebook. If you ask one of your subordinates to pull up their Facebook and look at how many friends they have on Facebook, it's usually 2 to 5. Some of these younger guys in the military, it's 1,000 friends. They don't need me. But what they do need, what they do need is they need somebody who has a little bit of life experience on top of what they have to mentor them and guide them the correct way on how to navigate some of these problems they're experiencing. And it's not just in the work center, it's personal, right? Some of us have experienced loss. Some of us have experienced separations and divorce. And some of us have experienced some of these things that people don't open up about. And they're bottling that in. And the moment they talk about it and you can kind of shed that light on, hey, you're not alone. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then realistic leadership. Right, so there's all these different theories, and people subscribe to management by exception, active, passive, transactional, transformational leadership. Some of us that have been through those professional development courses, but really, at the end of the day, people want a realistic leader, right? So when I'm having a problem, I don't want somebody to walk in, well, guess what? Your problem doesn't exist until 5 p.m. because you're on company time, right? Or the regulation says this, or the guidance says this. You have to do that. That's not what I want to hear, right? I want somebody to pull me aside and say, Michael, Broderick, whatever you want to call me, what's wrong, right? Let's talk. Yeah. And just be a human. Yeah. And that's the best thing about Nebraskans is that's not, I didn't learn that in New York. I learned that in Nebraska.
Okay, so you are an ambassador for the state of Nebraska, and somebody's coming to visit for the first time, and what would you tell them is the number one go-to tourist attraction they have to check out while they're here?
I would say just kind of navigate so I'm a huge history guy. And when you think about like the Oregon Trail and you think about, the Manifest Destiny, the Western travel, the Oregon Trail cuts straight across Nebraska. Yep. And it's like when you talk about the birth of our nation and the historical perspective of just that one little road, it's covered up mostly by farmland by now, but there's some areas where you can still see the wagon wheel tracks, and go see that. Like it's going to take 5 minutes to look at a track in the dirt, right? It's nothing elaborate. You're not going to spend the day there doing it, but that's like your ancestors all came across those tracks, soon or within that one little span of area. And I think that's super important, that if you do visit the state of Nebraska as an American, you need to see that.
All right. Any final career advice you'd give anyone looking to start out on their career?
I would say if you're a transitioning military member and you're looking for a place that's going to feel like home and there's going to be no drop off from the military to what we're doing here, this is a great opportunity. And it's not just HR, right? There's, I think it's 19 different divisions within the state. Right?
Well, there's 80 plus agencies.
80 agencies, right?
Yeah.
80 agencies that could benefit from your skill set, and don't limit yourself to one particular thing, but also step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're law enforcement like me, don't go seek out a law enforcement position right away. Go do something that's going to make you a little bit better. Like for me, I did HR. Like, what's this guy doing? Like, this isn't even his career path. And I think the other intern, Randy, would say the same thing. Like, hey, what is this guy doing? But it made me better, right? It gave me a little bit of perspective behind the curtain what HR is doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend.
All right, great advice. Well, Michael, thank you for your time today, and thank you again for your service to our nation.
Thank you both for having me.
It's been an honor to meet you and get to know you, and to learn about your journey, both in the military and then with state of Nebraska, and to hear about what's next for you. To our listeners, if you want to check out our great career opportunities, including those with the Nebraska Department of Administrative Services, go to statejobs.nebraska.gov and then click on Find a State Job link. While you are there, you can also find links to our Nebraska State Job social media channels on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. We'd love to have you follow us to learn more about the great careers that we have here in state government. You can also check us out on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search for Nebraska Department of Administrative Services on YouTube, and then be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you will be able to follow us and you'll be notified of future episodes of this podcast when they drop. If you're transitioning from active military service into the public sector or the private as a private citizen, and you're interested in a SkillBridge internship, we'd love to hear from you as well. So you can email us at state.jobs@nebraska.gov. That's state.jobs@nebraska.gov for more information. So on behalf of our guest, Michael, again, thank you. My co-host, Caitlin, and myself, Brian, I want to thank you for tuning in and learning more about the great careers here in the Good Life.